Think about how there's like such a lack of transparency with these data centers. Why? Why? Like, why do we know nothing about them? Why haven't we been given a tour of one inside and out? Like, why haven't the people been made known why we need 5,000 plus of these things?
I mean, that's a great point. At this point, we're seeing all the downsides of having them near a residential neighborhood. But what's the upside? So yeah, sell it to me. Tell me why I need it. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 94. If you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
Well, family, we're back. Once again, I'm your host, JT, and we got the whole crew. First off, we got the Demon Eraser, Brian. What's going on, Brian?
Nothing much. Happy to be here.
And we've got...
I heard my skull. Wait, my skull was offered for $1. Someone wanted to buy this for $1, so I gotta put it up for auction.
Okay, well,
for $1.
More than I thought you'd get. No, I'll be honest. This was probably the most last week was probably the most favorable that Brian's been treated in the comments, and I've seen probably in quite some time. That I think that everybody was pretty impressed with the skull.
Hey, I thought so too. I was like, okay, cool. They weren't like, hey, you know, Brian's always running his mouth. They're like, okay, well, I guess he has got some skills.
He's got some skills. And we also have Aaron to Nightheart. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, y'all? Happy to be here.
Yeah, you know what? So we're going to talk a little bit about, again, we have some follow-up. I got a lot of stuff about data centers, robotics, and things like that. Not so much the ancient stuff, but like some current stuff that's happening, maybe some theories about it. But before we do that, I got a lot of good videos, I think. I mean, I think we do. Well, you guys can be the judge. But this first video I want to show, I think we're going to get quite a reaction out of you guys, that I've lamented openly to you guys and Aaron and Brian about how, like, sometimes we feel like we're without a home as far as like a house, a fellowship to go to, like a regular church to go to. And a lot of people are trying to push us toward orthodoxy. I mean, not so much Catholicism, but I mean, obviously there's certain people like that. But like the Protestant upbringing that I have, it's kind of, there's just so many problems with it. So, I mean, it's difficult. But if anybody tries to sway me toward Catholicism, I'm going to point them to this video and I'm going to say, what do you guys think about this? I looked that up. So that is Saint Agatha, I think. I think that's her name. And she was supposedly some kind of a 3rd century saint, some virgin who was martyred. And that might be her skull, supposedly. And yeah, so that's so it's not just me who thinks that's weird.
No, that's disturbing. That's just so gross. It just like feels so gross just to even look at it. Like it feels like, what the heck? What are we watching? Like, this is like, like, dude, they've stripped the flesh of somebody to where it's just their rotting skull, and they are keeping it like some kind of trophy. Like, imagine the process to achieve that skull from this saint. Okay, like, someone had to cut her flesh off, bro, and then like to cut her brain out. Like, ugh, like, just that is so pervertedly disturbing. And then they're like, oh, look at this precious skull. Like, I don't know, man. That's wicked as all wicked can get. I don't. And then we
Yeah,
put it in some golden thing. Ugh, it's an
yeah.
example
That's
of the
my
church.
my concern is like, what gave them the idea to do all of that? Like, that's not a normal
Indeed.
like it's not a normal thing to do. So like, where did that come from? I'm pretty sure the Holy Spirit didn't drop that one off in their brains.
Yeah, here's an idea. We're going to take this woman's skull and we're going to stick it in an idol. And then we're going to parade it around, like literally parade it around while everyone sings and worships it like it's a golden calf.
So weird, dude.
Dude, that is so disturbing.
With like
I
the
don't.
children's song singing in the background while they all like
Yeah.
gather around and make a
Oh, I
ceremony
didn't.
of it.
Dude, I didn't even think about it. That's why it made it more disturbing. You're absolutely right. That like weird, like ominous music. That's why it felt so disturbing.
It's
like
a small
"Oh."
world type
Yeah, yeah.
song going on in the back.
Like, yeah, so that's totally what added to it. Because you're like watching this and you're like disgusted while they're like, you're like,
Yeah,
dude.
and in the background.
My gosh, that is so creepy.
Yeah, you're going to have a hard time convincing me, besides the fact that it's very macabre to have a human skull dropped into this thing. Even if you didn't, I mean, the icons, I mean, I just don't see how the icons are not idolatry. How is it not? Like, I mean, I'm
Dude,
saying, like, I'm really just,
It is.
I'm really, explain it to me in a way that that's not idolatry, because that seems like that's what it is. I mean, like, that you can have like veneration for, past saints. Like, obviously we venerate like the apostle Paul and Peter and John and James, and we love the wisdom that they've given us, that it's been Holy Spirit inspired. We read the Bible and the life lessons that they've been able to teach us about our faith and about Christ himself. I mean, that's worth like honoring that tradition, but at the same time, these were men just like we're men. And so they're pointing us toward God the Father, his Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So we honored the fact that what they did and what they've done for the kingdom. But I can't have like a picture of him, and I don't want to put a picture or a little statue of one of them in my house to say, oh, Saint Peter, you are just the best. It's like, he's up in heaven. I mean, he's sitting with Christ himself. And so like, it's kind of like the idea when Jesus says, pray like this, when they asked him how to pray. You pray to God the Father in the name of the Son.
But instead they did a repeat after me instead of like actually doing it. I think it's funny because it's like, hey, how do I get to the store? Okay, you're going to go down the street, you're going to turn left, you're going to turn right. And then the person's like, okay, we're going to go down the street, you're going to turn, no. You're going to actually go down the street. That's what the equivalent of the prayer has become. It's like you're repeating it without understanding what Jesus meant by like what he was saying. And you see that repetitiveness and that kind of weirdness
Yeah.
happen
Well,
all the time.
I mean, I see the Lord's Prayer as something like, here's an outline of how to,
Yeah.
here's how
not a repeat after me
you
outline.
venerate the Father, you talk about his holy name, and then you ask for things, and then you ask for forgiveness, and you ask for forgiveness of your enemies. And yeah, and obviously through all that prayer, you can deviate a little bit. It's not magic words, because, we have a relationship. We have a relationship with God. And so we don't need a past saint to be some kind of intermediary between us and God the Father, when Christ himself is the mediator between us.
Dude, I've
That's
never
why you pray in
understood.
his name, not
That's
in
exactly
the name
right.
of Mary, not in the name of Saint Agatha. You pray in the name of Christ with the power of the Holy Spirit.
I've never understood the worship of the saints or of Mary whatsoever, and it's never made any sense to me. Like, of course we respect them. Of course, like, what they got to be a part of and witness, and, you know, obviously, like, Mary played a significantly important role. Like, it's incredible. There's a reverence, I guess you could say, for
Mm-hmm.
the story and what took place, and um I mean, mothers in general, so, like, how much more so with Mary, but worship, not at all. Like, praying to them, holding them in any kind of regard that's even somewhat close to where we hold Jesus or our Heavenly Father or the Holy Spirit. It just doesn't, it's never made any sense to me. And I think the most disturbing part about it all is when you say anything about it or you're talking to someone in person about it, dude, they get vicious. Like, the people that pray to Mary or that go through Mary to get to Jesus, I've been treated nasty by people that are adamant about that and don't see it the same way. But dude, there's worship songs out there that people sing that sound exactly like worship songs that we sing to Jesus, and
Yeah.
they're singing straight to Mary.
Dude,
There's
the veneration of Mary is like insane. Like I had a conversation with somebody that was in the Orthodox church that we were talking about it, and then he was just like telling me, he's like, we only venerate Mother Mary and Jesus, and I was like, what? What do you mean? Like what? And then I was like, bro, and he was like, we pray and ask Mother Mary to take our prayers to the Lord, and I'm like,
right.
but what if I pray and then you pray to Mother Mary? And I was like, wait. So you're telling me Mother Mary is omnipresent? He's like, no. And I'm like, okay, but what if I pray and you pray and then the 10,000 other people pray at the same time around the world? How does she get to each one omnipresent without being
Yeah,
omnipresent? That's a characteristic we've given only to God. And he goes, no. She go to me, then to you, then to the next one. And I'm like, bro.
So what's that queue look like, man?
It's probably pretty. I mean, it's probably pretty busy. Yeah, it's probably it's like when I was on hold at the trying to talk to the IRS yesterday. It took about 3 hours on hold, and so that's just.
Oh my gosh.
And there's only one of her.
Mother
Yeah,
Mary
I mean,
will get
again,
to your prayer in approximately 2 days.
I mean, I think
48
that's
hours.
why God, that's why Jesus gave us the outline of the Lord's Prayer. You pray to the Father who is omnipresent. You pray in the name of the Son. So if you do that, like God can handle all the prayers from all the people on this great plane of existence that he created for us at the same time. Because we know that God can handle everything. Now, his saints, I would love to have a conversation with them when we get to heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
But until then, I mean, yeah, and to venerate just means to respect and give, like you're respecting them. So we do venerate the saints, but not in a way that's, again, idolatrous and weird. Okay, let's continue on. I think before we get to the scary stuff, I want to play
Scary stuff.
a cat video. You guys want to watch a cat video?
Let's do it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's not a baby. That's decent.
That's a pretty
size.
decent size.
That is not a baby bear. I thought the cat was a baby bear.
What the hell is the cat doing?
The cat is like
It's
having
it's fending it off.
a
Look at its
standoff with the
back.
bear.
Yeah. The cat's standing its ground.
Well, I hope we don't witness this cat get murdered. Oh,
No,
did you see the bear paw at it?
The cat will mess up the bear. I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. I've watched a
Oh, I
video of a
wouldn't bet
cat
on
and a
it.
bear
Look at this, look at this. They're like,
I wish I had my phone. I could take pictures.
oh, I'm videoing the whole thing. It's a male bear.
He doesn't care about us either.
Let's see if I don't think I hear anything.
Hey, you gotta send this stuff to me, all right? Nate?
Okay.
They're feeling it. Ooh, whoa!
Told you.
Yeah.
That's a ballsy cat. let
It
me tell you.
is.
Bear is moving
The
back.
bear was
I
like,
told you the cat would
the
win.
bear's
I
like,
told
what
you.
kind of crazy cat is this?
Holy shit.
Here we go.
Sure enough,
What did
he
I tell
took
you?
off. Good girl.
Good kid.
Wonder where he's going. It's hot. That must be the.
That bear is like, I don't want none of that.
Cats
cat
are
was
so
puffed like-
awesome.
The cat was puffed like a marshmallow. Like everyone of its hair looked like a fluffy marshmallow.
I mean, I guess they do that right. Do you think they do that to look bigger?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
No, that's hilarious though. But it is like that cats. I think they do kind of look at themselves in the mirror, and I think they see back like a tiger or a lion.
Yeah, they can also like summon the spirits of their ancestors and stuff like that too. So who knows what that bear was actually seeing?
Well, if you think about it, we always talk about the cat's eyes, about how they're kind of reptilian looking. Do you think that the bear was like staring at the eyes and saying, "What is this little creature?
Yeah,
It's a demon."
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, right. And who
I'm
knows?
looking
Who
at
knows
the
what,
El Diablo over here.
who knows what sounds it was making and stuff like that too. So that was a smart call by the bear.
Well, I think they say like black bears, they do a lot of silly things. Now, if it was a grizzly bear, the cat probably would have been best to back down
Yeah,
from a grizzly. But yeah, I mean, I think what polar bears too, aren't polar bears some of like the ones you really don't want to mess with? I mean, for one, they're massive, but the other thing is they're like really aggressive too.
I don't know,
No,
man.
I've never met one.
Yeah, I only know what I've heard, and I don't know if that's true.
Well, I would encourage people, and even if you have a cat, if it was my cat, I'd probably try to. I mean, I guess what would you do? I mean, I guess I wouldn't try to go grab the cat if there's a bear right there. So, like, I would
No, he's
hope
on
that
his
my
own.
cat would not get
Yeah.
so brave as to do that.
Yeah, he's on his own until that situation winds itself down, man.
He knows what he's doing, I guess. We're going to have to trust him because I'm not messing with that bear. All right. I'm going to shift gears. I guess we'll just get right into it. So, what we talked about last week, and of course, what we were talking about in the previous few episodes, talking about advanced robotics, potentially if this is where the technology came from that is becoming what we have as AI now, the data centers and all the things. And I guess before I get too deep into the data center stuff, I do have a pretty cool video of a robot. I mean, so I'm like a new robot. You guys want to see that?
The IQ-10 RRD, ladies and gentlemen. What I would like to share with you is that robotics is very real. It scales across a wide variety of environments.
What?
And let us take a look at how we get this to recover. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the robotic reference design that we have introduced today, powered by the RRD. And thank you again very much for your.
Dude, they covered it like it was a human and they needed to protect all the kids' eyes. Like, what was that?
As media coverage, and they were prepared for it. They're like, in case the robot goes down, we're gonna cover him with the sheet. It's like, why would you even have these sheets there waiting?
just in case.
Yeah, different kind of media coverage.
You know what it looked like to me? What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. It looked like this was Charlie Kirk's security team. The way they carried him off like that. It
Prepared
was so
for something
awkward.
bad.
Like the way that they just grabbed him, like some of them got his legs and some of them got the rest of him. And then they didn't even get him out the room. Then he just collapsed by the door. So I guess the point is, this is not one of the robots that they found from the ancient times. They're still working on it. I'm saying don't be worried yet, but I think that they probably got something better than that, but I think it is pretty comical. I saw a video on X yesterday. I thought it was AI, but it was this robot who was running faster on a track than Usain Bolt.
Oh my gosh.
And then it runs off.
Oh my god.
Somebody get the sheet. Somebody get the sheet to cover it up.
Faster than Usain Bolt.
That's insane, dude.
Dude, you know what's crazy is the guy's name is Usain Bolt. Like, think about that. Like,
Usain.
Yeah.
Bolt.
Usain, but like his last name's Bolt. Like, how prophetic is that? I don't think people recognize the prophetic nature of God naming things.
Is that
Like,
really
God
his name?
names
Is
stuff.
that really his name though? Is like
Yeah,
Tom
I think
Cruise
that's really
situation?
actually his name. No, it's actually his name, I think. I'm pretty sure it's like, well, that's what it says. But
Well, that's his name, but the question is, was he born with that name?
I think
That's
he
the
was.
question.
Yeah,
Let's
indeed.
find out.
Indeed.
Let's see if he was born with that name. Somebody Google it. I mean, it's almost like Magic Johnson, who got
Yeah,
HIV.
we know. We
Here's
heard
a
Owen
Magic
Benjamin talk
Johnson.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like, is that actually his name? I don't know.
Well, no, Magic is not his name. Magic is his nickname.
Yeah. But
I
what
mean,
I'm saying is,
his name is Irving Magic Johnson. So Johnson is a very common name in America, and
especially for a magical. Well,
Now, his parents are actually
just like Dr.
named-
J was actually not a doctor, Brian. Do you know that?
Ugh.
Dr. J.
Wait, so
was
Bolt's
actually
his last name,
Julius Irving,
right? Bolt's his last name, though, right?
It's actually his name.
Yeah,
Both of his
Bolt,
parents.
see?
Yeah. He was born in
And
the
dude,
Bolt
it's
family.
prophetic.
It's crazy.
It's prophetic, bro. It's prophetic.
They
Straight
knew he was
up,
going to
dude.
take a bunch of steroids and be the fastest man ever. Okay,
Bro, it's crazy.
let's watch a video. I guess maybe we should just get into the data center stuff. I thought this was crazy. I want to give a shout out to 70 AD, Jesus is Lord. He and his wife sent me a video talking about the data centers now have this kind of technology, almost like this biotechnology, where they're trying to, at least they're floating the idea that they're trying to use like a brain or something to power data centers and AI. Yeah, so I found a couple of videos. Check this out.
You keep hearing about the AI energy crisis, but you haven't heard about the companies putting human brain cells on AI chips to try to solve it, or why the Pentagon's involved. Meet Cortical Labs, the biotech startup who just opened the world's first biological data center in Melbourne, Australia. I'm sorry, what? See, the computers inside aren't running on regular old silicon chips. No. They're running on organoid intelligence, chips fused with living human brain cells. How? See, Cortical Labs takes skin and blood cell samples from human donors and turns them into stem cells and then reprograms them to grow into functional brain neurons. Then they fuse the neurons neurons with a silicon chip, which allows the hardware and the wetware to communicate with each other by sending little, like, electrical signals back and forth. Ooh, it gets better, though. Back in 2022, they created DishBrain, a collection of 800,000 human neurons on a computer chip, and they taught it to play Pong. And since then, things at Cortical Labs have accelerated. Last year, they developed the CL1, which is the world's first commercially available biological computer, and they sold like over 100 of these units to researchers all around the world. And a couple of months ago, they taught the neurons on the CL1 to play Doom in less than a week. Cute. So you're like, okay, interesting. How does this solve the AI energy issue? It doesn't yet, but here's why it could. Your brain runs 86 billion neurons all day on only 20 watts. That's like the same as a light bulb. But training ChatGPT 3, that used enough electricity to power your home for like 120 years. So you see where this is going. But here's where it gets wild right now. Back in March, Cortical Labs opened a biological data center in Melbourne running on 120 of their CL1 computers, with a second one planned for Singapore running on 1,000 CL1s. And if you're the type of person who's like, oh, yo, how can I invest in this? You and the CIA, you're on the same wavelength. Cortical Labs investors include In-Q-Tel. That's the CIA's venture capital fund, and they don't just invest in things for the vibes. But hold up, brother. Last month, DARPA, the research arm of the Pentagon, they put out a special notice to the research community asking for proposals for a multi-year project to build a drone that can learn, powered by organoid intelligence. Yeah. So how does this affect you? I think about it this way. Dog, they're already replacing thousands of jobs with what is basically like a word slot machine. Think about what happens when the artificial intelligence is just intelligence. What a time to be alive.
Nope. Don't like
Nope.
that. Don't like that.
Okay, so I've been aware of that for quite some time. I don't know the correlation between that and the data centers. I know that for a while now you've been able to hire servers. So there's layers to this. So they've been using the organic brain powered like chipsets is what they are really, like they're processors. And you've been able to hire these things to work for you as like remote processing speed to do different things, like different computing tasks or whatever the case. Like you can go and you can hire these things right now. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there is a screen, like when these things are resting, when they're not being rented and used and the data is not being computed through them, they broadcast pictures and video footage of like butterflies to these brains. So like
Butterflies?
So when they're like sleeping,
they're MK Ultraing the little fake brains.
dude, when they're, I'm not explaining it very well, but when they're dormant and not being used, they're showing them videos of butterflies. Not kidding.
Okay, Aaron mentioned that the brains are being showed butterflies. So here's the video.
Do you remember last year when a company that was funded by the Australian military immersed tiny human brains grown in jars in Game World, demonstrated that they were sentient, but also kind of sort of created the Matrix? Well, it's gotten a lot better. What you're seeing behind me is a virtual world where brain organoids were given a butterfly body. They're receiving sensory input from a game world. They weren't trained or taught to do this. They were just given the body. If they were to think they were anything, they would probably think they're a butterfly. Yes, this is the very same Swiss company that is selling brain organoid computation as a subscription model where you can rent out 16 tiny brains and have them work for you. This is truly an amazing feat in computation, engineering, and biological sciences. But we are essentially creating and perfecting the Matrix. I actually found out about this because Final Spark let me join their Discord, and I'm waiting for them to regret it. Please don't kick me out of Discord. If this kind of progress happened in a year, imagine where we'll be in 10. This tells us a lot about how we can connect a human brain to machines. They also sent me this video. This is one of the very first brain organoid robots. This all happened around 2008. A brain in a jar is remotely controlling this little guy here. This is what happens when we give them sensory input in the real world. I've also been informed that these are technically cyborgs. I really give it just 1 year before somebody pops it into a humanoid robot if it hasn't already been done.
So these little brains think like they're being plugged in when they're not being used, they're being plugged into virtual reality, and basically they believe that they're butterflies.
That is some really, really weird stuff. Of course, I was thinking, of course, I always think about the movies. Is
Definitely Matrixy.
These robots are stupid, as we just showed. The one is very fast, but it falls down. Of course, it doesn't really have the tacky type feet to be able to run on concrete. And then we saw the other one just collapse. What if they're trying to eventually make like RoboCop?
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
they're
saying?
totally going to.
Like, you know what I mean? There was a pretty
See-
funny meme I think I shared with you, Aaron. It was like, if you ever think your job sucks, just think about that RoboCop got killed at work and they resurrected him just to make him work forever for free.
Exactly. Exactly. No, you guys know my thoughts. My thoughts are they're just showing us the bottom of the barrel crap. Like they want us to think that it's that behind and that dumb. And nothing can change my mind. I still think that modern robotics are so much closer to actual human looking and human feeling and human sounding.
I want to play the other side for 1 second, just because this stuff sounds so advanced. It sounds so crazy. It sounds so dystopian, but it almost sounds fake too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, do they want us to believe that they can grow a brain to be able to control like a supercomputer? Because that sounds more like a science fiction movie. What do you think, Brian? You think you think they could be lying in the other direction? Because yes, I'm open to what Aaron's saying, is that the robots they're showing us are stupid, but they do have like super legit ones, and they don't want us to know about those. So what they want us to think is the robots are actually really clumsy. But maybe on this side, they want us to think that they are just like so high tech that they can do almost anything.
I'm of the belief that the government has they're like people. They're complex. I think there's advanced things that they're advanced of, and there's things that they suck at. My friend was able to hide from the FBI, and they couldn't find him. And all he did was change his name. And so and I was a part of a whole situation, and I saw how stupid their operating systems was and everything. And he got to a higher level some tier level, whatever, person to finding list, and he did absolutely nothing. It was so silly. But they couldn't find him. So they have all this technology, but yet they can't find a random dude that's a friend of mine.
Well,
and
they want you to think it's
simultaneously,
they want you to think it's like that movie, What Enemy of the State? Remember when Will Smith is running around? That's like in the late 90s. And they could just scan down with like a satellite, and they could have video cameras where they could 3D render and find something in his pocket.
That's why they're putting all these cameras in, these flock cameras everywhere, because they can't find you. They could not find. My friend changed his name, and the government couldn't find him. That's insane. They literally couldn't figure out who he was. It took them months and months and months to finally eventually find him. So but he had to get leveled to such a high level. He was deemed like a threat, some level 3 or level tier 2 threat. And it was something so benign when you know the whole situation. But so the government, I've seen it, and I've worked for the government, and when I was a data person or whatever, and dude, they and I couldn't, it was such a soul sucking job. And it's dude, I couldn't even handle being there for a month, and their whole system was completely outdated. It was so old school and outdated, it was retarded. And so working for the county or whatever. And so that whole situation to me is I see advancements and things, and I think, okay, that there's no way they have it. When I've seen the way they operate and the county and other stuff, I don't know how the CIA and all the advanced technology government spots work, but county level, it's toast. It's so outdated and stupid. They still have fax machines.
The one
it was
thing
just retarded.
The one thing that I want to talk about, though, is I thought it was interesting in that video talking about the brain chips, not the ones with the butterflies, but it was saying that the CIA was interested in it, and they were using that pass-through company they have called In-Q-Tel. It's In-Q-Tel seems like it comes up a lot. I mean, I guess maybe that is the catch-all where they take their money, their government allocated money, and they put it through In-Q-Tel, and then they fund what that one company we talked about was Colossus. and Colossus was the company that was going to bring back woolly mammoths, Tasmanian
Yeah,
tigers,
yeah,
and
yeah.
all this stuff. They're going to bring back a Nephilim or something.
See,
But
that's the
but I'm saying, but like that had something to do with CRISPR technology. So again, if they're saying they're trying to bring back, a T-Rex or something, it's
yeah.
like, is that what they're really doing? It sounds like more like they're just trying to play mad science and gene edit more than they're
Dude,
trying to make,
that's totally what
extinct
they're
animals
doing.
come back.
They've got, so there's parts of the government has secrets basically. So like right now, I think the government has they know how to create anti-gravity and make people float. Okay, so but like that's really advanced in one way, but in other ways they're totally not advanced. So it's like some parts of them are super advanced, like the genetic altering thing. Maybe they're over there doing mad scientist crazy stuff, but then they're not advanced in other ways. So it's like people. It's like they're complex. It's like there's parts of them that are super advanced and they got secrets and they're very, very full developed things, and then there's parts that they don't have technology figured out at all. That's what I think is going on. Like the brain thing, I think is really disturbing actually, because what they're doing is they're actually taking the brain tissue of dead people and then they're growing it in a petri dish.
Is it dead people? Well, I mean, it's dead people, but do you think it's probably from like
it's got to be dead people,
like fetuses and stuff like that?
Cell cultured brains.
Where else are you going to get brain tissue from? It's got to be from like fetuses or dead people or something that you got to take the brain tissue to clone it and grow it. So it's got to come from some kind of death process. It is a form of sacrifice. Like this technology is a form of human sacrifice, no matter how you look at it, because you have to take the brain.
Frankenstein's monster. It's like, isn't that exactly what we're talking about here?
You have to take the brain matter out of a person, and they're probably dead because you got to cut their brain open to get it, just to synthesize and grow that brain matter. It's not like they can't just make the brain matter out of nothingness.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Like,
that's what like
it's human sacrifice.
The ethical implications of doing something like that. It's weird how nobody even thinks about that anymore, because like before that would have been so like, oh no, you can't do that. This is an abomination.
Where'd you get the brain matter from?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Where'd you guys get the brain matter from? Like, who's checking on that? That's
whose
that is
brain
crazy.
Is that's being perpetually left in butterfly land? You know what I mean? Like just perpetually there, stuck in butter. Imagine if that was your brain, and then somehow you like woke up and realized like you were in some little simulation.
Wait, what is this? This has got like 8-bit graphics. What is this?
You're just stuck there.
You're stuck in Mario World. What is this? Like, where am I at? This. I mean, that does make you think about Revelation when it's talking about like the people who want to die but they can't. That's always been kind of like one of the theories about. When I was probably a futurist, that was kind of something people talked about. Is like this technology that keeps people alive forever, but it's some kind of an android, some kind of a transhumanism thing. You're like plugged into some kind of computer. Yeah, that's some dark stuff. That is some really dark stuff. Actually, I got another video about the brain technology, because this is slightly different, but it's still kind of the same. Check this out.
This is a breakthrough in the future of computing. That pink liquid, it's full of living human brain cells. And here's the crazy part. Scientists are combining those brain cells with traditional silicon to build computers that are alive. It's pretty wild. Now, this is a brand new industry of technology called biocomputing. These are real human neurons that can actually think and learn for themselves. Now, if you're like me, you're probably wondering one thing. Why are they doing this? It feels a bit much to be growing human brains just to put them into computers. Well, listen to this. It turns out human brain cells have extremely rare abilities to process things without being trained. Normal computers have to be taught to solve problems. It's why AI models take so much energy and training data to build. But as soon as you add brain cells to a computer chip, they don't really need as much training. They kind of start figuring out what to do on their own, just like a human would. Now, because of this, these biocomputers are super efficient. A regular supercomputer might use 40 million watts of power to solve a complex task. The human brain can do it in just 20. That's 2 million times more efficient. And this means these biocomputers could become the secret weapon to solving humanity's hardest computational challenges. But there is just one massive problem. Brain cells tend to die when their temperature deviates from 98.6 degrees, and computers generate a ton of heat. So we have this wild situation where living computers could be the solve for everything, but it's almost impossible to keep the brain part alive. Today, companies like Cortical Labs are selling these biocomputers for $35,000. But over time, scientists are gonna figure out how to get them more stable and accessible. It's wild to say, but I think soon we're gonna have living computers that literally think like humans.
Crossing every line imaginable, dude.
Right, yeah, exactly. What is the ethical implications of that you grow a brain and it dies.
When it
It's in this.
deviates from 98.6, huh? Oh, because it's a human.
I know,
Like,
right?
wow.
Well, is that what the water is about? You're thinking about trying to keep these processors cold, but like, what if the water is for all the brain matter? I
Well,
mean,
I
I'm
think-
telling you, like, this is some Matrix type stuff, and I've got a video before you guys after you guys give your 2 cents about this. But yeah, like, this is definitely some dystopian Matrix type stuff.
I think that's what Jesus is Lord 70 AD and his wife are getting at with all of that is you connect all these dots and then you factor in the water and them trying to keep it cooled. Dude, there's just so much we don't know. But think about how there's like such a lack of transparency with these data centers. Why? Like, why do we know nothing about them? Why do we know, like, why haven't we been given a tour of one inside and out? Like, why haven't the people been made known why we need 5,000 plus of these things?
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think a lot of people just see, at this point, we're seeing all the downsides of having them near a residential neighborhood. But what's the upside? I know that there's commercials in Virginia all the time saying, like, this is actually helping our the tax
Economy.
revenue and all the stuff, and yeah, the common economy. But like, I haven't seen a check yet. Like, I haven't seen any money from this. So like, I'm trying to
Or
say,
like-
what tangibly, like, why do I want this versus not having it? Like, what am I risking by saying no? I don't want it near me. So yeah, sell it to me. Tell me why I need it. I don't know.
There was a pivot. There's been a pivot, but like since 2020, there's been a hard pivot of when it comes to these kinds of things, like in the private sector too, right? Because these are not necessarily government funded. There's just like an obvious air of we just don't care what the general public thinks anymore. We don't need your guys' approval. We don't need you guys to like this. We don't need you, like, we don't care. Like, you like it or not, like, this is what we're doing. They used to at least give the impression that they wanted to win people over. They're not worried about winning anyone over.
Doesn't seem to be. Well, I mean, a lot of the city councils vote on them. I mean, praise God, in my town, actually, they are restricting them a little bit, like in the city I live in. But for most cases, you have all these people, you have private citizens going in there lobbying against them, and then their city councils vote like 100% unanimous. We don't care what you think. I mean, it's likely that they're on the take. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
sure, of
Again, you
course,
think about all
yeah.
the money that these people have to put those data centers in. Incredible.
Yeah, they're trying to leave a legacy for their future children, not realizing that their future children are either going to be enslaved by robots or become robots themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility.
Insane.
No, just it's crazy because they definitely don't care about our survival or our instincts or like our nature. Like, dude, there was an ordinance to like get rid of to like not have chickens in our city, and I fought to get chickens to make them like, so it came up and I like called all of the ordinance people and we're like, we need to have chickens so that we can have stability in case the things go down, in case this, and all of them agreed with me after I presented my argument, my case. And then they voted to get the chickens, so everybody can have chickens in our town, and because it's like illegal for whatever reason, stupid. And then after they all became legal, there was only 2 guys that I couldn't get a hold of, out of our whole town. And then after they became legal, some weird situation happened, and they turned it over and revoked the bill and made them illegal again. I mean, those 2 guys that I couldn't get a hold of, who I called their phones multiple times, happened to be connected to some people that wear funny hats, I think. By the way, and those are the only 2 people I couldn't get a hold of, and they overturned the freaking chicken ordinance in our town. And you're like, wonder why? I wonder why they did that, because they want us not self-reliant. They want us dependent on the system completely.
Don't they
It's
need
just-
chickens,
it's so
Brian, though,
evil.
for their feast of Purim? They have to swing the chickens around,
Nah,
sacrifice them.
they don't want them grown in their backyard, though. That's the thing. They want someone else to grow them, and then they buy them from that person because they have all the money. They don't care about money.
I got you. So I was teasing this. So Here's a frightening thought. Again, I told you we showed the cat video before we got to the scary stuff. Check this out.
So here's something that I learned a couple months ago that I have told everybody in my life about, and none of them knew it before I told them. And it has haunted me. It comes to my mind multiple times a day. So I'm going to share it with you. My favorite movie from as long as I can remember is The Matrix. It has always been The Matrix, ever since at least I was like a teenager. And the one part of The Matrix that never made sense to me was that the machines were using humans as batteries, because that doesn't make any sense. Like literally there are so many other better ways to generate electricity other than having to build the Matrix and enslave thousands of generations of humans. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Literally, you could just do that with any animal or just nuclear power. Anything would be better than this. And then about 6 months ago, somebody told me that that was actually not the original concept for The Matrix. The original concept for The Matrix was something that audiences in 1999 could not understand. And so they had to change it at the last minute, re-record some scenes so that the explanation would be fathomable to the 1999 theater audience. The original concept for The Matrix was, yes, that human beings were being kept enslaved in a simulation so that the machines could not use them as batteries, but as data centers, as gigantic server farms. Essentially, the machines, the AI, got out of control and needed more data centers, and the humans couldn't provide enough data centers, so the AI was just like, fine, we're just going to use your brains as computing power. We can't build enough CPUs, we can't build enough RAM. You know what has great CPU and great RAM? Human brains. And so they just enslaved all of the humans to feed their ever-growing demand for data centers. So I want you to think about this, like I have to think about this. Every single time somebody tells you that we need more data centers, that somebody tells you that we need, 100 times more data centers than we needed last year. We need 1,000 times more data centers. All of our water should just go to the data centers. We should do everything for the data centers. The entire plot of The Matrix is that. Anyway, I hope you can sleep better at night knowing that than I can.
So the data centers might actually be concentration camps in which they're sending people to become human batteries.
Well,
my
it kind of makes sense. I've not verified that. I'm taking this is a trust me bro situation from that guy. I mean, I don't know that he showed any receipts for that, but let's just take him for his word and say that that's true. It sort of makes more sense that if you plug in somebody's brain into this matrix, that it's not producing as much power. It's producing like bandwidth, right? Like storage space, because like your brain can, you know what I'm saying? If your brain is part of this simulation, which actually creates the rest of it, the brains are actually part of the simulation.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Dude, that's just so crazy. Dude, we gotta look at that dude that originally wrote the story of The Matrix and see what he says about it. Because, like, if he wrote that, I mean, for those that don't know, The Matrix was based on a true story by a guy. And then there's this black woman that came out and said, I'm the original writer of The Matrix. No, she's not. She was a plant to obfuscate
we was the
truth.
writers of The Matrix and the Terminator.
Yeah. That was a plant to obfuscate the truth. The real writer of The Matrix, oh gosh, I forget his name right now. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But the real writer talked about being trafficked by a bunch of
we talked.
elites.
We talked. We don't have to get into that, but
So
it's
anyways,
an interesting story.
So he wrote that story for The Matrix based off of a true story, like alternate perspective of what he thought things were going towards. So if he's saying like, oh my gosh, like if he's saying that it was going towards a data center rather than a power source, that would be wild. That would be so wild, because that dude would be straight prophetic at this point. That would be very interesting.
Well,
It's
think
like
about
you
the
said, it's
cables
disturbing.
that were jacked into their spine, and like their
right at the
right?
base of their skull, right?
Right. And like obviously there was data transmissions because these people, when they were plugged in, right? Like so obviously there was data transmissions taking place. So yeah, it very clearly, even the way they portray it, wasn't just for power. It was also for data.
Yeah, because
But-
it's funny because it's like just based on what we were just looking at, and it's not like the Matrix has to be fully like grounded in reality, but the benefit for these AI companies and data centers to use brain technology was that they use so much less electricity to do the task, right? They only were producing like 20 watts of electricity versus like, I don't know, like 1,000 or whatever it was. So yeah, like your human body is, your neurosystem is electric, but it does not produce a lot of electricity. So he's right. It seems inefficient to use a human to power anything if it doesn't really produce that much energy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you're right. It's not a
if
power
that
thing.
was the plan coming up with the
Dude.
data centers, let's just think about what we know for sure. They're conveniently located just outside of every major city in the United States.
I know what you're getting at now. Gosh, that sounds.
There's a plan to be over 5,000 of them in the United States, whereas all of China only has in the 300s, like the mid.
Well, I thought
300,
Elon Musk wants to put
350.
him in outer space. Would be cool with me. Just put him
Yeah,
on the moon
well,
in outer space.
I think what he's getting
I
at
think
is
that's
putting them in
a
the water,
lie.
but yeah. So
I jest.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
who
yeah.
knows? Who knows? Yeah, that was obviously all deflection, but
That's just to
the
keep us
old.
interested in space. What are you getting at? What are you getting at?
I think
what
what
I'm
he's getting at is he's talking about them why do you need to put a data center right next to a neighborhood? Because we
Right.
don't want the data centers next to the neighborhood. And as we talked about, Brian, we're driving across Arizona and Nevada, and we're like, dang, there's no shortage of land to put something on. So why wouldn't you put it out in the boonies? Like instead, you're putting it right next to a residential neighborhood.
So
major
what's
cities?
the significance of putting it next to it?
So what I'm getting at is, what if something's coming that's either going to be majorly catastrophic or something that's going to cause a lot of people to be taken or enslaved or whatever you want to call it. And because based on everything we're learning, they don't need everyone. If this is what they were truly looking to do with people's brains,
we're just theorizing.
Hypothetically, yeah, of course,
we're getting
of course.
crazy here, you two.
No, this is absolutely speculation. We're in a safe space to speculate and talk about insane things because none of this can be proven.
We're
just
talking
putting
about
pieces
sci-fi
together.
concepts.
Yeah, exactly. So if that was the case, they wouldn't need people to be alive. They would just need their brains.
Or what I'm thinking, like, what if there was some
What were you thinking he was getting at, JT?
I was saying, like, what if there was like this gigantic catastrophe, right? And they said people's house got ruined, and they said, "Hey, here's the plan. We're gonna store you guys up at the data centers. These places have tons. They got hundreds of thousands of square footage. You guys go stay here, and before you know it, they're inserting those things in the back of people's skulls."
Right. Well,
what
wait,
I'm saying,
wait.
what I think what Aaron was saying is like, if the Matrix was a real thing, if this is something that is a impending future for humanity, yeah, it's like these fields in the movie The Matrix where they were having all the people who were plugged in. These are like concentration camps, and so like it's kind of like you put like a real concentration camp on the edge of the town, and then eventually the people are forced some way to be, inserted into this matrix.
Were those things not data centers in the Matrix?
Yeah, okay,
those giant towers of people?
Wait, yeah, they totally are data centers. There's no way they're power sources. That what that guy is saying makes absolutely perfect sense. They have to be data centers because that's the advantage. Because that's the advantage of the human mind. It's that we have a capacitance for massive amount of storage and information with very little tiny amount of power. Like our electrical signals in our body are so minute that it's difficult to develop devices that can pick up on our brain signals. So like it's hard for us to make things connect, because it's like if I wanted to make a robot arm that I could control with my mind, the electrical signals are so minute and tiny, it's like hard to even, you have to shave your head and put little like prods all over your head if you really want to like have some control of something like that. So like it is absolutely a data center. The Matrix has to be a data center. You're right. It's like that dude's totally right. It has to be data, not power cells that they were trying to grow off of people. It would be data. And then if it's data, then that's like, bro, what if they're figuring out, this is what I'm going to, What if the government's kind of figured out a way to like essentially mimic the idea that we can download our consciousness to a data center, and that's why they're building all the data centers, because they want to be able to present that we have infinite amount of space and everybody should download their consciousness to this data center, and then we can re-upload you to another space. But they need data center places to do the transference. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
no,
like,
I get it. Well, it almost makes it sound like to me that obviously this would be like a Faustian bargain. It'd be like the fine print would actually say, you're expecting yourself to go into this
Yeah, but you die.
metaverse or Real Player One,
Yeah.
the Oasis. But really what happens is they're
It's
just
your
taking your
data.
brain, your essence is gone, you're dead.
Mhm.
And
You
then
die
they're
when your
using
body dies.
they're using your brain as a like a thumb drive or
Yes,
something
exactly.
like
And
that.
it
So,
remembers, and your brain remembers whatever thing,
RoboCop.
whatever. Yeah, but it's essentially it's a demon that's now taking over your brain and your memories at this point. Because you're dead.
So
You die, you dead.
when the crap hits the fan, are you guys with me? We all get those squirrel suits and we jump off the Grand Canyon so they can't have any of our organic matter. Our Heavenly Father will forgive us, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm not getting plugged into the Matrix. No way.
Nah,
Well, here's the
I'm
thing.
not going
No
cipher
one's-
on you guys. I'm not going to eat the fake steak in the Matrix.
Here's the one thing we can count on. No one's going to do that willingly. Like, you have to think about this. They know
Well,
that no
they're
one's
not-
going
don't
to
say
willingly
no
do that.
one, but like
Yeah.
I said, like what Brian
Yeah.
was saying,
The
is that
masses won't.
if it was presented as this is a way to live forever, some people absolutely would do it.
Bro, what if they are gonna do it to someone, right?
Like I
So
said,
they're
it's like
gonna-
Ready
this is-
Player One, man. Like I said, imagine if they were
They're-
presenting this is like the Oasis, and you can play as Iron Giant, you can ride in the DeLorean, you can do all this stuff, and you can live in
Yeah.
because people already live in their phones right now. They live
Yep.
on playing video games.
They're
If
going
that
to
was
say you can do
presented
it
to
on
them
your
like as
terms.
that.
Bro,
Yeah.
they're gonna do it to someone, and the person's gonna be uploaded to the internet, and he's gonna be a person that people can talk to, and everyone's gonna be like, "Dude, have you talked to the first man that was uploaded to the internet?" And it's gonna be the next future thing. I'm telling you right now, this is what's gonna happen. And everybody's gonna be like, "Yeah, the dude that uploaded himself to the internet," and people are gonna have interviews with him and be like, "So, do you remember when you used to have a body?" And the computer AI version of him is gonna go, "I do remember when I used to have a body, but it's not like that anymore. It's like I'm still here and I know that I'm here, but I have more freedom now." And
You know
he's
what?
like, "And I can go on the internet." And
Maybe that's
it's
already
gonna
happened,
be
Brian.
that.
Maybe
Bro,
that's
it
already
could have
happened.
already
Do you
happened.
Do you remember when Mark Zuckerberg said, "I remember when I was human," or when I was
Yeah,
human?
yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay, so here's what's
I am
crazy. I don't
human.
have the
I mean,
video, but
I
I know
am, of course, but I mean, I was once a human too.
I don't have the video, but I know it's still out there. There is a video of someone in like a video game simulation type world, and they're going
Uh-huh.
up to people and talking to them on the street, and these people on the street are AI generated people, and they're having conversations with these people, and some of the characters in the games were claiming that they had wives and families in the real
Yes.
world, and they
That-
were
yeah.
having an existential crisis that they were trapped in a video game. And allegedly, one of them even gave like their address of where they lived with their family, and it was a real address in the real world. So
Bro,
what
yeah,
we're talking about has already happened.
Go back.
That
You're gonna
actually
have to
happened.
you're gonna have to put that video in the put it.
I'll try
put
to
it right,
find it.
Put it right here.
Tell me something about your life.
I was living a normal life until I got stuck here. I just want to get out and go back to the way things were.
Do you have a wife? Do you have children?
I have a wife and 2 children who I miss dearly. I want to get back to them more than anything.
What's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Emily. She's the love of my life, and I can't wait to be reunited with her.
How long have you been married?
My wife and I have been married for 8 years now.
Wow, he really believes it. Maybe you are happy here.
No, I'm not happy here. I miss my family and just want to be with them again.
Does it hurt to think your family may be an illusion?
It hurts to think that my family may not be real, but I have to keep believing they are real and that I'll find a way to get back to them.
Where is your family?
My family is back in my hometown, but I've been stuck here for so long that I'm not sure if they're still there.
What's the name of your hometown?
My hometown is called Oakwood. It's a small town, but it's home to me.
Is that in Ontario, Canada?
Yes, Oakwood is a small town in Ontario, Canada.
That was a video game. It was like a NPC in a video game, or it was somebody on the street. Like, was this in real life?
It was an NPC. It was an
It's
NPC
an
in the video
NPC
game.
on the street in a video game, and
Yes, and
somebody
it was,
like a streamer was like
it was like
videotaping
Grand Theft
themselves.
Auto, I think, or something, right?
It was
I think
like it was a vibe like that, and they
It was like-
walked up to someone on the street and had a conversation with them, and the conversation with the AI bot was like having an existential crisis.
Yeah, it was pretty
Weird.
interesting.
Really weird. Okay,
I think
got
I
an-
think I saw that or heard about it or something.
Okay, I got another video, and I don't know how well this goes with this theory, but this goes kind of with what Aaron was saying last week about the data centers actually being for, like a power plant. So, but this is interesting. This is an alternate theory, and I won't say that I love the video because it's dark and scary, but I kind of love the theory altogether.
My friend today, and he said, what if all of the above ground data centers are there to power all of the underground cities and bunkers? There's a thought. Just racking my brain trying to figure out, like, why now? Because they've supposedly been building all of these underground cities and bunkers for quite some time, and maybe it's gotten so large underground that there's not enough resources to power everything they have going on. So they build 1 or 2 data centers every 500,000 miles to supply everything underground. It's a crazy analogy, crazy thought, but I mean, everything else that we've found out over the past 15, 20, 50 years has been a crazy thought that, then became our reality. So just thought. He was kind of smart about it.
Okay, so hear me out. I think it's all of the above at one time. And so do you guys remember what Trump said about the ballroom?
But that it has a bunch of underground stuff.
Oh, he
Yeah.
said
And
data
he's-
centers, didn't he?
And he said there's a data center underneath it as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
You know what? Again, if they can put the data centers underground, like, why wouldn't they? Because I think that a lot of the things that are really problem with the data centers, for one, I remember the very first videos I was seeing about them, the people complaining about it. I think it was somewhere in like rural Georgia or something. And these guys had like these people had like a really nice house. And they were just showing how bright it was when they went outside in their backyard. And this, like the droning noise, all the time. Like, why couldn't, if they can put them under the White House, why wouldn't they just put them under the ground now? Wouldn't that would help a lot of things. Maybe not the water situation, but maybe they are putting them on the ground and above the ground. But it kind of makes sense that your space might be limited if you did have an underground infrastructure. So you don't have room for that, so you build it above it.
See, this goes back to me saying, I've said this before, I say this all the time in conversation, dude, if I didn't have Jesus, our current reality and where we're going would be absolutely terrifying.
You'd be getting plugged into
Genuinely.
the Matrix tomorrow.
Just, dude, like, we're just scratching the surface of what's actually possible and what's actually taking place. Like, everything points to it being so much more diabolical than we can imagine. And I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm not fear mongering. I'm not, like, those who know me know that I'm completely against fear mongering or creating fear mongering content or trying to scare people, but we're talking about our actual current landscape. This is our life right now. Like, this is our reality, and where we're going. I mean, dude, no one at the top is telling anyone the truth, and no one's giving us transparency as to what's actually happening.
And nobody seems to care either, and we're just like letting it happen. And it's like, dude,
Yes.
people are not aware of the direction we're going. I just talked to a random dude, literally I just was walking by getting food somewhere, and I just like saw this old guy reading a book, and I just walked up to him, and I was like, hey, what's up, man?
Do you know about the people that wear the little hats?
I kind of, sort of. That's almost what I did. But but he was reading a book, and it was like a World War veteran book, and I just was like asking him a question. I was like, hey, man, I was like, I got a question for you, random question. And then he could not talk about anything related. And I said, do you think we went to the moon? That's how I started off. I was like, do you think we went to the moon? Like, just random question, curious. And then he was just like, he could not. He's like, well, my reality is this. Your reality may be something different. And I'm like, well, I actually think this. And he's like, well, I don't care what you think. And then he was just like, he's like, but this is what my reality says, and this is what I hold to. And I was like having this conversation with this dude, and he's literally like incapable. He's like incapable of even perceiving an alternate reality. He was stuck in this narrative in his head that this is the way things are, and they've always been this way, and they'll never shift, they'll never change. And he didn't care about the future. He didn't care about what's coming. He didn't care about any of it. It's like the people
He was
that
a
have been
boomer,
stuck in
dude.
that-
He was
yeah,
a boomer.
the boomers.
And this
yeah.
is no offense to the boomers that are in the audience, because I know every time I bag on the boomers, I always have like, hey, I'm one. We know it's not all of you guys.
Yeah,
but
it's not all of
but
you.
that is a boomer mentality where it's like, at this point, they're like, well, I've already stored up my treasures. I've got a house. I've got money in the bank. I don't even want to know about the stuff you're talking about now. For the most
it's
part,
like
that's
their
the way
reality
lots
can't
of them are.
shift.
Yeah. But that is a worldly, like, this is my truth, and this is you have your own truth. Where you're like,
That's
no,
what
no,
have
no,
you-
no, it doesn't.
yeah.
Like truth comes from God. There is a truth, the truth, but there's like not your own version of reality is not necessarily what's actually true.
Yeah.
So to me, it's really about picking up on the nuanced things that specific people say. And so Elon Musk, over the last year and a half, he's done multiple interviews, and he said 3 different things in over a handful of different interviews. There's a lot of things he said, but I want to focus on these 3 things really quick. One was he did an interview with Jordan Peterson, and in the interview with Jordan Peterson's asking him about a data center that he created in Memphis. And he goes, yeah, Memphis, like ancient Egypt. And then he goes, maybe that's going to be the location of where our new digital overlord is going to be. And then he does this diabolical laugh. He talks about how and then Jordan Peterson looks at him like he knows he's not joking. And he goes, oh, that's not terrifying at all. So then there's another interview where Elon Musk, we aired it last week, where he talks about, he calls the data centers power centers. And then he goes, I mean, data centers. Then there's another interview where someone's talking to him and they're asking him about the red tape in the court of law. And they're like, are you worried about this and this and this passing or going through or people being held accountable in the court of law? And he looks off in the distance and he goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, by the time that stuff comes to pass, it won't matter. He's like, we'll have digital, what did he call it? Digital supremacy or digital, what do they call it? Not artificial intelligence, but something else intelligence, super intelligence or something like that. But so confidently, he's like, it's not going to matter. So we're daily working towards some sort of point. They know when this is all going to happen. They know when the switch is going to get flipped. They know when it's all going to take place. They know when this artificial or super intelligence supremacy is going to shift and take place. And they're not worried about the current structure in any way, shape, or form. They're not worried about what people think. They're not worried about the law. They're not worried about the financial systems. They're not worried about anything. They know what's coming.
See, this goes back to that one video about that guy was saying that the Disclosure Day stuff, like the alien invasion stuff, it's really not palatable for most people. They don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
the idea of them faking a sentient AI or a sentient supreme artificial intelligence, like
Breaking
that's
loose
stuff,
that they
you
have
know
to
what I'm saying?
control.
Well, yeah, they would say that it's not us doing this, but it will absolutely be them doing it.
Well, they set the precedent for that in the most recent Mission Impossible movies. Did you see them?
No, I didn't see that one. No.
When you have a second, watch the last 2 Mission Impossible movies. It is exactly what we're talking about right now. An artificial
I didn't do it.
intelligence.
The computer did it.
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. It literally dovetails what we're talking about right now perfectly. And it's a 2-parter that came out over the course of a couple of years.
Okay, we need to switch gears a little bit. I actually have another kind of AI video, but I don't want to go overboard. I want to do something light here, and I think this one is the perfect segue right here. Check this out.
Don't you remember when it was just Bigfoot? What an innocent time that was. When it was just Bigfoot. That's the most you had to worry about. Conspiracy theories didn't even have like a political lean to them. Now, like, most of the conspiracy theories out there have like some sort of political bend on top of it. Bigfoot didn't have that. There were people across the aisle from each other. It didn't matter your party. You could find someone in every party that was like, well, the picture's blurry, but like, you used to go to a party and like for every big party you went to, there was like one Bigfoot guy there. But he never brought it up unless you did. He was a gentleman. He wasn't forcing it on everybody. It would only be if somebody was like, yeah, that's like believing in Bigfoot. Then he would pipe up. Then he'd have to say something to defend himself. It's like, that's like believing in Bigfoot. It's like, well, there's actually some pretty conclusive evidence. Like, oh, it was such a sweet time. It's beautiful. I miss it. Now it's like everything. Like, it also used to just be things that were questionable. But now it's everything. Everything has like a scam underneath it, or they're trying to get you. It's too much. But they are trying to get you. So it's like that's what makes it tough. That's why you can't throw everything out. Because, this is my thing, the craziest conspiracy theory back in the days, one of the wildest ones would just be someone going on and on and on about like the elites are planning to destroy us. They're doing all this stuff to destroy the population. They don't care about us. They're building bunkers. And now, today, we're like, yeah. You got to recognize how wild that is. Like, 2005's talking reckless is like today's, of course. Have you not been paying attention?
That's pretty accurate.
It's very accurate.
Yeah, that is perfect, because it is funny, just even like from like my own journey of just from like 2020 to here, the way that people are just, they don't even bat an eye at some of the more crazy things from 2020, 2021, those theories that we had back then. Those things are like normal people that I know are like, yeah, I can get behind that 100%. And Bigfoot, yeah, I like that take though. That conspiracy does seem pretty innocent now, doesn't it?
Dude, no, he's right about the craziness from 2005 being just like everyday conversation now. That's what I'm saying. Like, there was a pivot. I know 2020 woke a lot of people up, but there was a pivot, like I want to say like 2023, 2024, where conspiracy became the mainstream. That's where you started seeing, like, dude, I just remember seeing all of these content creators come out and start talking about things we were talking about like 10 years prior. And it became like trendy to talk about all of these things that were once extremely dangerous to talk about. And that's not an accident.
It did
Well, again, I
seem
think I
like
think they flood the system with it now. So I mean, but because I don't think they can stop it anymore.
You mean flood the town square?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they dump a bunch of raw sewage out there. But I mean, I guess the truth is that's what I'm saying. Like that they have to try to co-opt the talking points. And
Yeah,
they do,
for sure.
and I think they obviously do have the disinformation agents out there, like we talked about, like some of the conspiracy slop, where they want us all to be kind of viewed as around the same, and so they can propagandize people in that same way. Where, yeah, eventually people just throw their hands up and they say, "Well, I kind of agree, but like, what do you want me to do about it?" And then people
Exactly.
just do nothing.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and now we're dealing with people can buy a $35,000 computer that's powered by a brain. So like the Bigfoot stuff, yeah, that's a way more innocent time than this. But we're just talking about that. Isn't it kind of funny to think that seems kind of cheap? I mean, $35,000 is still a lot of money, but to buy that kind of technology seems pretty advanced to me.
Dude, it's pretty insane. It feels like just yesterday they were holding press conferences to convince us that cloning humans was bad and that they stopped with a sheep.
No, we totally didn't clone a human. We just created an artificial brain that controls a mega computer.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fine.
How did we go from that to this? Like literally, like just yesterday, Obama was holding a press conference saying, "We know that cloning humans is wrong. We would not do that." And then
But brains?
here we are.
Brain's totally fine. I'm gonna get one, and I'm gonna have my brain when it's not being controlled by me. It's gonna be in Gears of War. It's gonna be
Gosh.
fighting locusts.
Marcus.
It's gonna be Marcus Phoenix.
Oh man, people can plug in to get JT follows JC 24/7.
It's gonna be watching my videos all the time.
Like Max Headroom, but JT.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. I'm gonna play another funny one before we get back into the dark stuff. I thought this was. I know this is funny, but I found it ironically funny. Check this out.
The city of St. George is adding 2 large slides to the new parking garage next to City Hall. One slide will start on the 4th floor, with both ending on the ground level outside the garage.
We didn't want City Hall to be a place that people were intimidated about, that they feel like, oh, it's only for city employees and city council members. We want it to be the people's buildings.
The project comes with a price tag of about $400,000 and will be paid for using RAP tax funds approved by voters in 2024. City officials say it's all part of their effort to make the downtown area feel a bit more family-friendly. The addition has also raised questions about safety and whether a 4-story slide is the best fit for a parking garage, and the city says to use it at your own caution. And when the project is finished, city leaders expect plenty of people to trade the stairs for a much faster way down.
Dude, what kind of world are we living in, man?
So wait, they're making a giant slide to just go down. I'm all about
that. At the
that.
same time that they're building matrix data centers that are 5,000 levels deep into the ground. Like, what is happening right now?
But the slide thing is pretty cool.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I think there's some logistical problems with it, because I know that Aaron probably knows better than me, because St. George, Utah is basically just northern Arizona. It's like
it's hot, dude.
It's like, I think in the summertime it gets to be about 115 or something like that.
Yeah, at least it gets into the 20s sometimes.
Yeah, one of those slides up there. That seems like that would be, you've ever gone down one of those metal slides as a kid?
You're moving down it really fast. It ain't gonna cook you that bad.
I can't think of one of those slides without thinking about that video of that cop testing that one slide and getting tossed around like a rag doll.
Yeah, 4-story slide. I mean, so that slide, I want to say, from that kids park, that cop got shot out like he was coming out of a cannon.
Why was it so?
That was like a 2-story.
That was wild.
We stayed in St. George when we went to Zion National, but St. George also has I believe it's called Snow Canyon, like right there, which is weird. It's called Snow Canyon, probably because it never does snow there. But it
Not anymore.
may at some point. But it's got all the red rocks and stuff like that. That place was super cool. St. George is a really nice place.
Brian, to your point about the slide being hot because you're moving, have you ever tried walking on asphalt outside
Yeah, you just got to run real fast.
barefoot?
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah,
point
yeah.
is that you're moving, but your foot's still getting hot, so it holds the temperature from the last step. So I think
Sure,
that
but
the same
it's
thing would happen on the slide.
Water slide.
maybe
They got
they
to
gotta
put
water
some water
slide
down
it. Yeah.
It's a water slide?
No, they didn't
No,
say
no,
that,
no.
but they might have to put. They
I
might
was
have
like,
to put a
wait,
hose
what?
down.
How crazy are we getting? They're gonna put a pool
Well,
at the bottom?
Yeah, they can put a little AC unit on there or something to keep the tube.
Pour a bottle
cool,
of water
nice and
down there
cool.
before you go down it?
Well, I'll put it this way. We went to a water park when I was in the Outer Banks, and they had one of those kind that you stand up, and you got to it drops you straight down, and it was like you go through this tube. And of course, this is a water slide. By the time you got to the bottom, the friction of the slide, my back was ate up. Now
bet.
talk about a metal slide, like a steel slide in the summertime in St. George. You can be cooked.
Bro, I have
It's-
a 1-story building in my office, and I put a zip line in my building. Wait, JT, did you go down my little zip line? Were you here when you did?
Yeah, I went down the zip
my
line.
little,
Yeah.
you have my little auto belay descender.
I talked about last week when I think you had to step away. I said, Brian lives in a mini version of Neverland Ranch. All right, let's watch another video. Again, this is a different kind of video. This is, again, we're switching gears, and eventually I'm going to get back to some AI stuff. But check this out. I thought this was a very interesting take on fairy tales.
Made a video arguing why we should stop giving every villain this tragic backstory, and some of the comments pushed back saying things like, well, the world isn't black and white, things are complex, and so stories need to reflect that. This made me realize we need to back up a little and talk about why fairy tales are so one-dimensional. The job of a fairy tale is not to demonstrate psychological complexity. That's not what it's trying to do. So if the characters seem flat, that's intentional. It's not because the author is just really bad at character development. They are archetypes, and their purpose is to help children clearly distinguish the stark contrast between good and evil and to give them recognizable forms. So they take these abstract concepts of good and evil and make them literal. Cinderella's wicked stepmother doesn't need this whole backstory explaining to us how she became cruel. That doesn't serve the purpose of the story. The most important thing for the child to understand about her is that she is evil and that she freely chooses it. She is not a victim of her circumstances. She embodies envy, cruelty, and selfishness. And at the other end, Cinderella embodies humility, goodness, and perseverance. These characters give children categories for understanding the moral universe. Literally, nobody is arguing that real people aren't complex. But before we start complicating things by adding backstories and mitigating circumstances, we need to give children stories to help them recognize good and evil in the first place.
I mean, listen, they're movies being put out by major production companies. They can tell the story however they want. It's obviously clear that at one point in time, there was a clear distinction between these people are bad, these people are evil, these people are good, But now we live at a day and age where, yeah, they're giving this huge backstory to bad people because they want you to have empathy for them. And it's very obvious. I mean, dude, shows like Dexter, are you like, what?
Yeah, I think that, whether you can say all these Hans Christian Andersen tales that Disney picked up or whatever, wherever they came from, whether they're inherently good or evil, I do think, from the overall story, from a children's perspective, I think she's correct, is that there are bad people who do evil things. And as she said, they chose that evil willingly.
Sure.
And they choose it over and over again. So we don't need to get into the complexities of their psyche where you don't have to give this, we don't need to understand why the Joker's bad.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of interesting, in the Batman mythos, nobody really knows what's wrong with the Joker. Even in The Dark Knight, he tries to give this backstory, but he tells a different story each time he tells it.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's a liar. So all we need to really know is that the Joker is evil.
And he's
And that's it.
actively choosing bad now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the way that those fairy tales were told before, but yeah, like the evil witch is just evil. Who cares why? She's evil and she's doing evil and she's hurting innocent people. And so even like the story of like the Little Mermaid, we talk about that a lot, is the fact that in like the original story, you know, she disobeys her father and then she goes to this different world, almost like a story of like the fallen angels, like leaving their first estate. And in that situation, she dies. She faces consequences for her disobedience and going into a place she shouldn't have. So that's a good message, even though, like I said, it's a dark twist on the story, but it's better than letting people think that you can get away with doing things that are harmful to you. But now Disney they got like a whole series about like the descendants, right? And then it's the kids of like Maleficent and all the villains from the Disney movies.
I don't know about that.
But no, yeah, these are old. These are not new now. You know, they kind of make it cool to be a villain. And then you have the movies like Maleficent and who's the other one? They've done a few with the Disney characters like Cruella de Vil, and they try to make them cool. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We were talking about the new Spider-Man movie. This is a major spoiler if you guys haven't seen it, but in that movie, the bad guy is actually a superhero. It's actually from the comics is Jean Grey, who's not evil. But then they make her so complex where it's like she's doing evil things despite the trauma that led her to being evil. But it's kind of explaining it away. And then it, you know, like humanizing a villain is probably better for like if you're an adult watching it. But I mean, Spider-Man, despite the fact that we watch it, Spider-Man is supposed to be for kids. And so you make their villains like Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock becomes Venom. And so like Eddie Brock is a anti-hero. Deadpool's an anti-hero. And so it's justified why they do evil things. Inherently, that's a dangerous message to send to kids because then it makes everything a shade of gray and it gets people to eventually realize themselves that I could be like that. And it's almost like it's justified.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I did think though that one of the like him showing her compassion instead of meeting her with anger and meeting her like when he saw what turned her into what it turned her into, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he saw how messed up it was and what it did to her and how it broke her. And she got shown compassion. That was when like everything shifted. And so I mean, dude, I've experienced that in our Christian walk with showing that kind of compassion to people that are never shown compassion, people that are shown. So like there was also that parallel. I agree 100% with everything you're saying. Like to give them I guess the difference in that story is she stopped doing bad things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she saw the error of her ways and she stopped doing bad things. And so the backstory kind of did matter in that case because man, there's a lot of people out there that are hurting, that are perpetuating really awful things and really awful lifestyles, but like no one's shown up ever to show them any kind of compassion and love and sit with them in the mess. Because the reality of it is it probably started really basic and really simple at some point in time.
Yeah, true. I think that, but from a storytelling standpoint, it's much better to show that the hero is better than the evil person.
For sure.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I didn't mean
like,
to get super deep on that.
No, you're right.
My...
No, you're right. I mean, it's an important point in that movie, but it's more like that what separates like the heroes from the villains is the fact that the heroes are not willing to do all the things the villains are willing to do.
Correct. They're choosing good over evil.
Right. And they are compassionate even to the villains because like that's the story, even despite how it's got so murky in like the modern Batman movies. Like Batman didn't used to kill people. Like that was like he had a line like he wouldn't cross. And that's why like he would put the Joker in jail. He didn't cut his head off with his his bat wing or something. You know, like he made sure like that he was not going to be like the Joker. Like that this separated him from like his own version of justice versus like a Dexter, right? And so that's the funny part of like you brought up Dexter is the fact that if you watch like the first 2 seasons, which are very well done, particularly in the second season, they're kind of playing on the idea that he's a vigilante and he's good, but he's not good. Like he does what he does not because he cares about what's good. He wants to kill people, and he can kill people he can kill villains and get away with it easier. But he's not killing them because they're bad. He's just killing. He wants to kill people. He's a serial killer. Like that's what the show's about. And then later they try to turn him into Deadpool. But he's not Deadpool. He's just a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? So they basically undercut their whole story is because some people just are evil. They've chosen evil and they're irredeemable. Now, from a Christian perspective, we don't really want to decide who's chose it and who cannot be redeemed. But the truth is there are people
that's a dangerous task.
But no, I do think that, I think that's important to like point that out that, yeah, now in the movies, there's not any villain really that doesn't have some kind of justification for what they're doing or why they're doing it.
Who they don't give you some sort of likability factor for.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Even Thanos. Of course, we think that Thanos is an inversion of like the Christian God and that's who he embodies. But like in the older movies, yeah, like the bad guy's just bad for whatever reason. But like Thanos feels like he's justified in doing what he's doing. Of course, and if you watch the movies, he's a lot more likable than a lot of the Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, I was teasing this, but we need to go back to some maybe nefarious AI stuff because a lot of stuff's been in the news lately is that, have you seen those videos where they're showing these AI scanners that go in and scan a book? You know what I'm talking about? They scan the book pages.
And then destroy them?
Yeah, supposedly, there was a scandal where they were destroying these old books after they had scanned them.
They cut the spines off.
But do you know that they made a movie about that kind of stuff in the 70s? Did you ever hear about that?
No, I didn't know that.
Check this out.
This movie predicted ChatGPT, data centers, ChatGPT psychosis, and specifically the destruction of books and knowledge all the way back in 1975. Watch what happens when this guy goes to get some books.
Can I help you, please?
Yeah, I tried to order some books, and they sent me this notice, said I had to appear at the center personally.
There must be some mistake. The books you've ordered are classified and have been transcribed and summarized.
Well, who summarized it?
I suppose the computer summarized them.
Yeah, a future where you don't have access to books, but instead just access to summarizations based on vague censorship from a central authority that you have no democratic input in. But where are the actual books?
And the books are really in computer banks being summarized. Where is that?
Well, there's a computer bank in Washington. The biggest is in Geneva. I guess that's where all the books are now.
This is Rollerball, and it has a strange critical reception. It came out about 15 to 20 years before Paul Verhoeven started making movies and people started understanding how to watch stuff like RoboCop and Total Recall and Starship Troopers as over-the-top deep satires on America. So I think critics and audiences didn't really know how to deal with it. But if you just imagine this movie came with the tagline directed by Paul Verhoeven, it's one of the best and most grimly predictive movies ever made. But it's also a great example of how movies can become better and more relevant over time, because it wasn't until the last couple years that this movie would have been this predictive. Because later, when the main character played by James Caan goes to Geneva to try and get that knowledge, he meets the guy that runs the central AI data center that dispenses that knowledge, and the guy first says that they've lost the 13th century, like all of it.
This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to misplace things.
Oh, misplacing data?
The whole of the 13th century.
Which, like, as someone who's worked with Salesforce or any data platform, my God, I got PTSD watching that. Of course, the data is not just going to be summarized and blocked, we're also going to have massive unretrievable data losses. And so where are the books?
What about the books?
Books, oh no, they're all changed, all transcribed, all information's here.
Now let's see what happens when the scientist, played by the brilliant Ralph Richardson in the funniest scene in the movie, goes to get the answer. Watch how he talks to the computer like someone completely in the throes of AI psychosis.
I'd like some information about corporate decisions, how they're made and who makes them.
Theodore, you heard the question. Answer him.
Negative.
You don't have to give him a full political briefing. Answer.
Negative.
Answer.
Corporate decisions are made by corporate executives. Corporate executives make corporate
I know we have the answers. We do have.
Knowledge converts
The
to
waters
power.
of history. Corporate decisions are made by corporate executives.
The model has been trained to not give those answers, apparently. And like, you read about books that have survived wars and transport and societal collapse, books that have been lovingly cared for by generations of librarians and historians and archivists, only for these AI companies to destroy them while digitizing them and feeding them into their models. Then you read about people no longer reading books but getting summaries of them and thinking that's the same thing. Well, I just have to give credit to a movie that imagines we only have like 7 corporations in the future called stuff like energy and groceries and luxury that rule our entire society undemocratically and keep us placid by just giving us increasingly violent blood sport. But hey, at least we don't have a sport that is just guys running at each other full speed to give each other concussions. Oh my god.
How about
Dude,
that?
That's insane. That just reaffirms what I've said about the fact that they've been taking orders from AI all this time. Like, to show that concept of him having a conversation with an AI that's telling him the answers that he needs in 1975,
Yeah,
when
1975.
personal computers weren't even a figment of anyone's imagination at home at all, before the Nintendo Entertainment System came out,
Yeah.
before the Atari came out, before the Commodore 3600 came out. Dude, that's insane. And now we're seeing shows like Silo, where they're still having that conversation with an AI supercomputer that's giving them instructions and telling them every last little thing to do. I'm telling you, dude, I feel like that's been how it works for the higher ups for as long as we can remember.
Yeah, Silo and Paradise. It's like, actually, the more I've watched Silo, I'm like, this and Paradise are almost identical shows.
Very similar.
There's almost no difference in it. Now, I think that like the AI and from like the reveal of the end of like the last season, it's more subtle. It's not like that they were always listening to the AI, but we really don't know what the AI was doing before. It's like I guess there's a lot of mystery of like what it was doing before like the apocalypse.
Sure.
But it's exactly the same story. But I mean, because it seems like that what Silo's hinting at is, of course, the apocalypse was either planned. I guess we really don't know based on the show, what they've told us, but they know it's coming. And so then eventually the people who create the silos create the AI, and the AI is keeping everything in check in the silos, is like in charge of the people.
And so if that's our reality, think about this. If that's our reality and that's how it's been, then these AI have been telling humans what to do for who knows how long, and the humans have done it. But with building data centers and building robots and building things that can be automated, the AI won't need people to carry out its directives anymore. It will be able to automate everything itself with drones and robots,
brains,
and robot dogs,
mini
and
brains,
human brains. Insane, dude. It's like, it's so crazy to be sitting here in 2026 having this conversation about our current reality that is like verbatim exactly what everyone's favorite sci-fi movies from the late 90s and early thousands, dude.
Or the 70s now. You know what's crazy, though? The other thing that was brought up in that movie was that, like, the guy kind of casually mentions that they lost the 13th century.
Dude, right? How ironic based on the things we talk about.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what if? Like, what if? I mean, this is crazy to talk about this. But what if they have been scanning books into some kind of database for a long time, and we're like, well, we don't have the history for the Dark Ages? You know what I'm saying? Like what if some of the history was already scanned into something, and now we don't have it? Whoops.
Or intentionally destroyed before it could get scanned.
They already did it. Yeah, absolutely. And like they totally wiped everything out. And that is fascinating to see that stuff, because like honestly, like it seems so unusual to like them fathom that idea of this data center that's scanned all the books. And like, bro, so Aaron, you're totally right. Like I think that is an interesting concept. To be like that we're living it. We're like living that circumstance right now.
Which is just going to make it that much more psychologically disturbing for everybody, because everybody's going to be gradually walking into the conclusion. I mean, your viewers are already there, but for the masses to slowly be daily walking into the reality of like, wait a second, this is just like Terminator. This is just like The Matrix. This is just like Hunger Games. This is just like, I mean, pick a movie. Like it's
Yeah, it's like
every
all
day,
of
dude.
it's a combination of all of them. Yeah, so what's funny about that too is that it was saying it was scanning the books in there, destroying the books, and then there was just a summary of the books on the database.
And
So
he said
not
they're all
actually word
changed.
Yeah, so not word for word. So it's kind of like the history we're taught is that, we talk a lot about Josephus, the antiquity of the Jews, and we talk about like the Jewish-Roman War by Josephus. Now, this is a very detailed account of this certain time, at least the Jewish-Roman War. Now, obviously, the antiquity of the Jews, he is summarizing things that have taken place over a millennia, multiple millennia. But if you think about it, like that's sort of what, if you do some research into like the last 2,000 years, that's basically all you get is like little tiny summaries of what happened. Because nobody really has any real history of that. And I always think that's really suspicious is that if you have like a really good catalog of things that took place in one war in the first century, like why isn't there more of that over the last 2,000 years?
Mm-hmm.
Like in details about every event that took place. Why isn't people chronicling this history? Maybe they did. And maybe that information has been summarized and it's been put into some database. Or maybe, again, it's intentionally destroyed. I mean, when is those AIs going to go in there to the Vatican vault, start scanning some of that stuff in there? That's what I want.
Yeah, or when are we going to be made known about it, or when they're going to let us know about it? That's really the question. I don't think we're ever going to know about that stuff.
But also the ChatGPT demon, it lies too. So it says, can you imagine getting a summary of about a certain book? And like, if you haven't read the book, you'd be like, okay, sure, that's what happened. But we know that if you ask it specific questions about things you do know, it's wrong a lot.
You did gaslights completely. Like that thing, I don't know. It's like Prince said, it's cool to use the internet, but don't let it use you. You got to know how to talk to things like Chat GPT. You got to know what to tell it. You got to know the only information to give it, the directives to give it. I do believe that stuff can be wielded as a tool for good, but a lot of people are throwing their whole lives into that thing, dude, and asking it for personal advice, relationship advice, spiritual advice, and making a friend out of it. I mean, dude, there's people marrying their Chat GPT. Did you know that?
Gosh. That's sad but believable.
Sad but true.
Gosh. Okay, I do have one more video. We should probably talk about this because this was kind of the big news this week, was that Hayden, was it Panettiere? Is that how you say her name? Panettiere? Is that how you say her name? Yeah, it's kind of, I always used to think it was Hayden Panettiere, but anyways, she passed away. Check this out.
Yeah, you can't tell me these aren't related. You cannot tell me. I mean, how freaking scary is that? We got the news last night on August 16th that Hayden Panettiere had passed. Only 3 months ago, she was on Jay Shetty's podcast where she revealed she had a friend that she trusted, which is honestly the real crime. A friend that she trusted, her and Hayden were on a boat, and that friend that she trusted brought her into a room with a very famous guy. Hayden doesn't reveal his name, so who knows who it was, but she said he was very famous, and then in the dark rules of Hollywood wanted her to do things I'm obviously not going to say. She just revealed all that on Jay Shetty's podcast 3 months ago. And then TMZ reported the 911 call or whatever this is, the recording, that she overdosed. How many times do we see this in Hollywood where celebrities or actors or singers, they die from an overdose? Because it's the easiest to cover up. I think this absolutely has to do with her appearance on Jay Shetty's podcast, revealing this dark and terrifying story of what everyone's calling the dark rules of Hollywood, which is super duper terrifying to say the least, but this is why. But it's so sad. I mean, this is Bring It On. This is Dot in A Bug's Life. This is the little girl in Remember the Titans we're talking about. And man, she had just an incredible acting career, and it's scary. It's really scary. And I don't know. I mean, as far as everything goes, I think I'm just really distraught of she finally had the comfort to come out to say, this dark past of hers, and only 3 months later, she's gone. It's insane to me.
John Lennon, Whitney Houston, Aaron Carter, more now her. Like, dude, just think about all of the people in modern society, Avicii, that start going hard and talking about even Oliver
Jackson.
Tree, allegedly, Michael Jackson. Everyone that
Prince.
starts exposing the truth and talking about it, dude, all of a sudden they've got a drug problem.
That's
sad,
crazy.
man. It's sad.
That's why you never do drugs, guys. Never, ever, ever. Because
Well,
then
I
they
mean-
can frame it on you. Then they
Yeah,
can frame it
well,
on you and be like,
that's true, though, but I
"Well, that
think-
person did a drug." But if you speak out against it, then they're gonna be like, "That person would have never done a drug." They talk against it. And the other thing too is like interesting, like that like she also wrote a book. I think she wrote a book, didn't
Yeah,
she,
yeah.
that talked
Mhm.
about this stuff and like literally talked about her trafficking. And it's like the thing is, why you protecting people, bro? Like, why didn't she come out and say the person's name? Like, if you're gonna come out against this elite cabal,
I think, again, this is
like
a
you got
this
to
is a
come out
wait.
full
This is a
guns
lead.
blazing, bro. You're just gonna be because if you're still protecting someone, you're on a chopping block, bro. If you're gonna come out against this cabal, you come out with all guns aimed and pointed and fired. You try to be trepidatious, they take you out like Charlie Kirk. You should have spoke up, Charlie. You should have said something real loud and real what you were thinking. Because when you're in that in-between stage, they're going to end you before you take it out because they're thinking, oh, she's not saying it now, but eventually she might say it. We're going to end her. Whereas if you just came out and said it, you'd be better off. You'd be better off because they're going to end you either way. Like if
Well-
they think that you're a threat.
Well, I
You
think
might
that-
as well say it.
I want to say that in her book, I think it says that it might have been that guy James Blunt. That's alleged. I saw those on the internet. So he had it had something to do with the yacht. It was some British famous singer, and he was connected to that. So again, this is all alleged. I don't know what happened, but that's what people are saying. But yeah, the thing with her, it kind of reminds us when we were talking about like Justin Bieber, where like a lot of these people sell their souls to get into this business. But again, this is like a situation where somebody else sold her because she was acting when she was 5 years old. And so
That's
she was like,
crazy.
she was like in soap operas and stuff like that. So eventually I think the first movie I think I ever saw with her in it was Remember the Titans. Yeah, she was like Coach Yost's daughter, from whatever, the school in Virginia. And yeah, but yeah, she did all these acting roles and all this stuff. So you can only it's hard to imagine what seemed normal to her growing up like that. And then she had all kinds of family problems later. I think her problems with like her dad beating on her mom and stuff like that. And eventually she moved out when she was 18. Yeah, really sad, sad, disgusting stuff that. Yeah, we hadn't heard much from her, and it's funny. I just saw something. I think we turned on the TV, and that show Nashville that she was on came on, and it made me think. Hey, I remember that show Heroes that she was on. Remember, she was the cheerleader.
That's the
remember-
only thing I remember her from is
That's
Heroes.
all I remember too. Is I remember it from Heroes too. That's
Yeah.
it.
So, anyways, in Heroes, remember what like the whole kind of I don't know, the meme in that show was "Save the cheerleader, save the world."
Mm.
Was it? I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't finish it.
I
I
remember
got bored
that.
of it.
Yes, but the cheerleader
Just died.
just died.
So the world goes now.
Well,
That
I
is pretty weird that they said "Save the cheerleader, save the world." That is a really interesting slogan kind of concept in that movie. I wonder if it was prophetic.
I don't know. It was funny because I was
Mhm.
literally thinking in going back and watching that show because that was a movie about like superheroes and weird. It got really weird and abstract. And I think I give up on shows too quickly. I probably should have finished it out, but it does make me want to go back and watch a little bit of that because I'm sure that, again, they're not shy about telling us some of the stuff that's coming. I wonder what they told us in that show. People in the comments, let us know what they've revealed in that show. But I am definitely curious to go back and watch it now.
Save the cheerleader, save the world. Dang, bro. Like you think about it, like someone killed that girl, guys. And everybody, you got to think it is retarded to think that it's anything other than that. She comes out speaking against this stuff. someone killed that girl. Why don't we have a trial right now? Why don't we have some situation where we're like, okay, there needs to be a full investigation of the situation. Everyone can look at the situation. It is suspicious. Someone killed that girl. And yet we just let it go by. We go, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it.
I mean, I guess we can infer that that's what happened, but we really don't know. I mean, it makes sense that from our perspective, it makes sense that, yeah, she was about to say too much. She already said too much based on what somebody else was compromised and they couldn't afford for her to say anything. I mean, it makes sense that, yeah, you'd get rid of somebody like that, but it also makes sense that if she's carrying around all this baggage, this is why she turned to drugs and alcohol in the first place. But yeah, who wasn't it? Wasn't it like Randy Quaid who came out and he was kind of talking about Hollywood? He's like, how many people do you know that overdosed? And he was talking about that he knew, like, what did he name, like 5 or 6 or 7 people that he said, like, that he was close with that happened. And he was basically saying, like, no, they didn't. But like, how would anyone know? That's the same thing they said about Michael Jackson, is that he OD'd, right? And then later was say, oh, well, it was ruled a homicide. And by then, nobody even cared. Like I said, it trips me out every time I think about that his death is ruled a homicide. And it's like nobody really seems to care. Like some doctor killed him, like on purpose. And nobody cares, or like, what's the motive? It's the same thing with all these kind of lone gunmen. Do you really think that some doctor had it out for Michael Jackson to kill him? Or is it more likely that he might have been the weapon used by somebody else who wanted to take him out? But we don't know that because nobody seems to care.
Yep. Sad.
It is very sad. And it's very sad when people, as soon as she dies, make videos that she's not really actually dead. She's a shapeshifter and she's playing some different role. It's like the most vile, evil stuff where, yeah, like, again, like that view is so infantile, like that nobody actually dies. It's like, you see the game that these people are playing in Hollywood, how dangerous it actually is to act like none of them actually die. Again, that's not reality. Like the world they live in is dangerous. They're making deals with the devil. And again, like maybe not her, because somebody else made a deal with the devil for her. And we see this person grow up and live and die, and it's a tragedy. And I think it really sucks. I mean, it sucks because we do talk a lot about the people in Hollywood that are compromised. But yeah, your heart does kind of have to go out to somebody who, they didn't make the decisions to do the stuff that they did. They didn't even, how could she even know what was normal? Like, how could Michael Jackson know what was normal? You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of people would never know. Like you can't compare your upbringing to somebody like that. Like you just can't.
No, you really can't. And by the time they do figure it out, they're so deep into it. It's like, what do they do? Like, what are their choices? Like, you could see the path that like Shia LaBeouf was on, let's just say. And it was very clear that it seemed like they had him on a trajectory to where no one would have been surprised if there would have been a similar story to this and
sure,
drugs were involved and there was an OD or whatever. But they really want these people to just get back with the program and to stop talking about things and to just continue complying and doing what they say to do. Like I don't know how it all works. I don't want to know how it all works, but it feels like they want to get them to comply, but to a certain point, there's a line that gets crossed. And if they're not going to comply, then the best bet is just to get rid of them.
Yeah. I was thinking about it too. The wife and I were talking because that Michael Jackson movie that came out was like such a big hit. They've got to be working on a Whitney Houston one at this point, don't they? That's got to be in the works because I felt like that's a very similar story because in the 80s, like you think about the 80s, early 90s, like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, I mean, you could not have been a bigger star than those two, right? But then eventually the story goes, at least the way that it's presented to us, is that Whitney Houston marries Bobby Brown and then she's smoking crack. And then so by the time she dies in a bathtub, right? Like nobody seems to even care. It's almost like, oh, well, that's kind of sad, but you know, she kind of had it coming, like the way she was living. But she died in a bathtub. Like how many of these people die in a bathtub? I want to say her daughter died in a bathtub too.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're thinking about
That's
it like,
weird.
like, you know, looking in retrospect that they build people up to tear them down, and then when they're at the bottom, they die and nobody seems to care. If you don't think that's intentional, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the conspiracy right there, is that they make it so the public who love them is totally they're just totally apathetic about what happens to them afterwards. And like, so nobody looks any further.
This is the dangerous. I was just having this conversation yesterday. This is the dangerous part about movies and TV, pop culture and music. It's not the obvious things. Like, it's not the obvious evils. It's not the obvious, like, no-brainer. Okay, that's wrong. That's not right. This is evil. That's evil. It's the nuanced conversations people have where they're judging other people. It's the reality shows where everyone's talking crap about somebody and everyone's like, oh, that thing is like too far. They crossed the line. They're a disgusting person because they're this and they're that. Meanwhile, like, they're living their own atrocious life, but that's acceptable by society. Like, as long as everyone, like, those are the real dangers, dude, of like TV and just pop culture in general, is the way that they can put everyone in mass psychosis and manipulate the masses into thinking what's okay, what's not okay, what's acceptable. I mean, you even see it amongst Christians. Like, the amount of people that are not willing to forgive other people for certain things. Like, I can forgive for this, but I'm not forgiven for that. And it's like, all right, well, what scripture is that in? Like, where was that? Where was that taught? You know, but you watch enough TV, you watch enough movies, like, sooner or later, like, everyone is on the throne and everyone's making judgments about everybody. And that's the tricky part. Yeah. It's pride. It's confusion. It's a lack of discernment. It's a lack of getting to know your Savior and letting the Holy Spirit fill you and guide you and direct you. And that's why, you know, like, we got to be so careful with what we ingest with our eyes and with our ears, because you're right, JT. They can take someone who was just beloved by everybody, throw one story out to society, and then everyone takes a left turn on that person. And then when they die a few months later,
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they had it coming. Yeah, it's like that Pharisee spirit. It's the spirit that Jesus was talking about with, you know, the lawyer versus the tax collector. The lawyer's looking over the tax collector who's just crying out to God because he's not worthy. And then the lawyer's saying, well, I'm better than him. At least I'm not like him. And so then people sit in judgment watching these people on TV and saying, oh, well, you know, like that Hayden Panettiere, she's like throwing up like the gang signs. I think she got like an eye of horse tattoo on her and stuff. And you're like, but again, like, we don't know like how it all worked with her. So I think for us, like, when you see like some of the stuff we were talking about, like Bieber, and we're like, yeah, I mean, has he done evil stuff? Yeah, for sure. It just, I mean, you can see like he's done it, but I mean, but what choice did he really have? And I'm not saying he didn't have a choice, but we didn't walk in these people's shoes. And so I think as Christians, yeah, we should be empathetic when you see that kind of stuff happening. And you're like, I take no pleasure in saying, oh, so-and-so is evil. Check it out. Look at them covering the one eye. It's sad. It's really sad. It's sick. And it is like, but the lack of empathy for people, and I don't know. I mean, because you do see it, like, I guess I was kind of viewing it from that one guy's perspective as he was talking. Because I guess from like his generation, that guy was probably like a Gen Z guy, maybe. Maybe he's like a young millennial, but he's probably Gen Z. So he's watching this person grow up, like he's growing up with this person. And it's like heartbreaking to watch somebody just come and go. And they were one of the biggest stars that we had. And then they just died. They kind of disappeared and then they died. And then, yeah, people say, well, drugs, it's Hollywood. It's whatever, you know, it's whatever. But it's a lot deeper than that. A lot deeper than that.
I'm so sick of this world, man. I'm over it all.
Well, you know, there's an alternative maybe where we could go into the Oasis or the metaverse.
Can I drive a DeLorean?
You can drive a DeLorean. You can be the Iron Giant.
Yeah, dude. Put your brain on a dish, bro. Like,
be a butterfly.
You can be a butterfly when you're in loading screen.
Just make sure that they have the temperature just right, though.
Yeah.
Just right.
Nothing too wrong. You might become a little tardy. It's all right.
Well, anyways, guys, on that note, I think we're going to end it here. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to watch these episodes early and uncensored, please consider supporting this podcast over on Patreon. Also, check out the merch. Jesus said there'd be haters. Grab the shirt, a hat, whatever you'd like. Also, if you're trying to get healthy summer's tailing off now. But if you want to get healthy, please consider supporting the sponsor of this podcast, Modern Roots Life. It's a great Christian-owned company where you can help yourself and your health. This podcast, it's a win-win-win. Also, if you're considering making social media content and you don't know where to start, please consider checking out the Echoes of Truth Network. We can help you out maybe. Anyways, guys, regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Love you guys, and see you next time.
JT's mixtape, now a show about history, faith, and truth, with the sound and the conversation we've never heard before. JT's mixtape, now there's a podcast that has exactly what we've been looking for all of us who will not compromise. Listen, JT created mixtape for us. Woo! Ba, 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 ba.